Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss how to crush the Dutch defense with the white pieces. Dutch defense is a very popular opening played from the black side against 1d4. The reply against 1d4 is 1f5, also who don't know. And Dutch defense is a very solid opening in that there are many players in the lower level, in the amateur level, who doesn't know how to react to it properly. And hence they always try to land in a bad position. So once you will be able to check out this video, after watching the video, you are simply going to crush the Dutch defense with the white pieces. So I hope that you guys will like the video. In this video, we are simply going to discuss 5 games, which is simply going to make you an expert in crushing the Dutch defense with the white pieces. So let's check it out. So in the first game, it's a game between Garry Kasparov playing with the white pieces versus Munch having the rating of 1830. And this game was played in, I believe, in 1998. So Garry Kasparov with the white pieces started out with 1d4. And we have 1f5. So this is the standard Dutch defense. So after f5, there are many moves to continue the position. Usually the common reply is to play c4. We have the queen's gambit, but actually it's not the best to play against the Dutch. And there are players who likes to play the London. London is still a fine opening, but after f5, Garry Kasparov decides to play bishop to g5. And the thing that I like about bishop g5 is, first of all, you cannot play e6 now because the queen is hanging, which is usually a very common idea for black to develop the bishop from f8 to e7. And second idea here is, if black goes for a common move like knight to f6, we can simply capture it, and definitely every black player is going to capture with the e pawn. Capturing with the g pawn, you can already sense it, like you can play e4 and you can meet your opponent like this. So capturing with the e pawn is the 99% move. And after e takes, you can simply continue with e3 in this position. And after the e3, the idea here is, first of all, your idea is simply to play c4, knight c3, and it's a very normal idea. Okay. So if black tries to stop it by playing d5, like trying to make a structure like stone wall defense, and the idea is to put your knight to e4, which is nearly impossible. To put your knight to e4, you need to put your knight to d6, and putting your knight to d6 will literally take a large amount of time, like knight c6, knight e7, knight c8, and knight d6, knight d4. So, but the main thing is, after d5, you can play c4 in this particular position. The reason is, there is no pawn on e7 to play e6, so that if you take, black can recapture with the e pawn. So in this position, if black tries to defend it, now you can take, and after pawn takes, you can already sense that d pawn is simply an isolated pawn. Knight c3, queen b3, and this pawn is simply dead. White is already better in this position. And if black tries to capture it, bishop takes, you can already sense white squares are extremely weak. Like, that's the whole difference. If black tries to play knight f6, you can simply capture it. Engine really shows a +1 in this position for white already. Okay. So playing knight f6, e6 is nearly impossible. h6 is the best move according to the engine, one of the best moves. And actually, in practical terms, I think it's still a bad move. Bishop d2 can be a move, even bishop h4. And after bishop d2, the light squares, once again, is extremely weak. For example, a normal continuation line, a sample line, knight f6, you can play e3, e6, a move like way normal. You want to play bishop e7 short castle, but now comes bishop to e2 on time. And for example, if bishop e7, now comes simply bishop check. And after knight takes, queen takes, king move, the king castle has already been broken. And I believe that you guys will able to simply crush your opponent in this particular position. So even if black tries to move the king, it's still black simply lost his castling rights. White can simply play c4, knight c3, and white is better. And like for example, if black tries to play something like g6 at the place to stop the bishop to h5 idea, Now knight to h3, knight f4, pawn is attacked, even h4, h5. I like this idea. So basically, black is having no real play because once you play h6, white can simply go back and your light squares are extremely weak. The idea is to simply play e3, bishop e2, and trying to take control of the light squares. Okay, so that's the main idea. So it's actually very hard for white to continue, for black to continue in this position. So after bishop g5, black decides to play g6. Okay, so after g6, white Garry decides to play knight to d2, bishop g7, because like whenever your opponent tries to play f5, there are usually two ideas. He either develops the bishop with g6 bishop g7, or he either develops the bishop with e6 bishop e7. We have bishop g7, and now here we simply have e4, fe4, knight e4, because capturing the pawn is the most logical move. You cannot push because the queen is hanging, so you have to take. Knight takes, knight to f6. Idea is to simply short castle. Here comes knight takes, pawn takes. Definitely, if you try to capture with the bishop, white can simply even take and pawn takes, and I believe bishop d3, a move like this, and after short castle, even queen d2, long castle, and you can play h4, h5. White is winning. So pawn takes, the most natural move. Now bishop e3. Short castle was played in the game, and now h4 by Garry. So this is the idea of Garry Kasparov. He simply plays h4, and his idea is simply play h5. d6 was played, even h5. Bishop e6. Pawn takes, queen d2. King to f7 because bishop was coming in. King f7, knight e2, rook h8 trying to trade the rooks. Rook takes, queen takes, knight to f4, knight to e d7, short long castle, c6, and now simply knight takes, king takes. The king is extremely exposed. Pawn push check, king move, takes, queen takes pawn, and black is already lost. Knight e5, but still a couple of moves were played, and eventually Garry Kasparov basically mated black with the two bishops. And the basic thing that I like about this, and I want you guys to learn it, that you can go for playing bishop g5. It's a very nice idea. You stop e6, you stop knight f6, you stop h6, and the most practical option is to play g6. And then you play knight to d2, you play e4, takes, and your opponent will try to open up the king's side to try to short castle, and now you simply takes, come back with the bishop, and start attack on the king's side. Like this. You can simply play now queen to d2, long castle. Like for example, if black would have simply continued with knight to c6. Okay, in this position d5 is coming up. So for example, a move like c6. Okay. Now you can simply play bishop h6. And if takes, queen takes, it's already lost. So there is no particular play. You simply play queen d2. And here you simply take, knight f4, the king is already exposed. You can simply strike in the center, open up the center, and you win the game. So this was the first game where Garry Kasparov simply crushed an 1800 rated opponent. So now let's discuss the second game, and the second game is between Garry Kasparov versus Mary and Gomes from India, having the rating of 1830, and this game was played in 2000. Garry Kasparov is having the rating of 2851, and he starts with 1d4, f5, bishop to g5 once again, g6 again, because like as I told you guys that these are the most best option, but in the practical terms it's already lost. So the most natural option is to play g6 in practical terms. And here you play knight to d2 once again by Garry Kasparov, bishop g7, e4 once again. And then with this position, if your opponent tries to capture the pawn, which happened in the game, bishop into d4. Now Garry Kasparov decides to capture the pawn, bishop into b2, and simply pawn takes by Garry. And you can't capture the rook really, because after queen takes, you lose the rook. And if knight f6, we simply have a move like bishop d3, and if takes, we simply take, king f8. And knight e2, if king g7, we have knight f4. It's actually game over. There's no particular good move. Let's say a move like d6 trying to play e5. We have h2. Pawn push. We have knight to e4. It's actually over, and now this is too much pressure over here, so it's already bad for now. Like if knight to d7 trying to defend the knight. Now knight e6 check. So I've like definitely any player will simply get scared of capturing the rook. So after pawn takes was played in the game, and here bishop to d3 by Garry trying to capture the pawn. Here bishop into rook was played because there is no real way to defend the pawn on g6. If you try to play king f7 and a move like that, which is actually the best, but still white is already too much better, I would say. Like you can simply continue with a knight to h3. And if bishop takes, simply queen takes, giving up an exchange. If a move like rook f7, okay, not rook f7, let's check knight f6. And after knight f6, you can play knight f4, attacking over here. And if rook to g7, you can simply short castle. And you can already sense that the king is simply bad. Your exchange down. Let's take a sample line still. Let's take a move like d6, trying to play e5. Now rook e1, and if e5 in this position, we simply have knight e4 again. And if knight d7, and if knight d7, bishop c4 check, and actually everything is collapsing, so there is no real good way for black to continue this position. Okay, any move you play, you will simply make a position bad because rook e1. The idea is basically to play rook e1, knight e4, and the game is over. Okay. So what happened in the game is bishop into a1 was played, and after queen into a1, knight to f6, bishop into pawn, king move, h4, pawn knight. Simply knight e4 in this position. You can't capture the knight because of mate in 1. So king to g7, pawn push, simply defending the bishop. Bishop comes, queen to c3, knight comes, takes, f3, going back to the bishop, capturing the pawn, knight to g3. And you can just see how such a brilliant play by Garry. And here comes a little bit checks from Mary, and after king g3 on the move number 24, again Mary decides to resign the game. There is no real way to continue playing this. You can just see the hopeless knight on f6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times attack, 2 defenders. The game is over. Mate in 7. So this was the second game. Now it's time for us to discuss the third game. And this game is this game was played in 2000 again. Garry Kasparov versus Peter Hess, having the rating of 1830. Garry decides to play 1d4 again. f5, bishop g5 once again. And again we have g6 by black. Knight to d2, bishop g7, e4, takes, knight to f6, takes, bishop to e3, short castle, h4 this time, again h6. Now this time black decides to play h6. And here we have queen to d2. So basically, the reason black played h6 in this position is if white tries to play h5, he can play g5, and suddenly the king side is all blocked. So black can now start playing like a normal chess. So queen to d2 first, hitting the pawn on h6 now, like this. So king to h7, the only move, and now bishop to d3 again. The power of the bishops. f5 was played because now h5 is extremely strong move, so you have to play f5. Knight to f3 now. Knight to c6. Long castle. d5. c3. Like protecting the pawn on d4. Bishop to e6. And now going for the move h5. Pawn push. Rook e1. Simply developing the piece. The idea could be to simply capture the pawn and capture the bishop like this. So bishop goes back to g8. And now some fantastic move g4. And now something is going to open up. Something. Knight to e7 was played. And now knight to g5 check. Sacrifice again. Pawn takes. Bishop takes. And just look at this vulnerable king. Now the knight is hanging. So you have to defend it. And now bishop into rook into g5. Rook move. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Pawn check. Rook comes to e1, hitting the bishop and the knight. Queen tries to defend it. Queen e3. And you have to play king f6 if you want to defend something. And now f4. Actually, at the place of f4, you can play queen h6, and the game is nearly over. But fine, f4 is still winning, and knight goes back c4. Pawn push, check. And white simply captured the rook. Still, even if black wouldn't have blended the rook, it's still winning for white. Like, it's such a hopeless position for black to make any kind of progress. It's nearly impossible. So hence after the move number 31, after playing queen into a8, Kasparov decides to resign the game, and again Garry Kasparov won only in like 31 moves. Like, it's such a fantastic game. So a brilliant play by Garry Kasparov. So we have discussed 3 games so far, and all of the, I'm recommending you to go for playing bishop g5. But now we are going to discuss 2 games where white didn't went for the move bishop to g5, but still white won the game. In the 4th game, we are going to discuss the game between Magnus Carlsen playing from the white pieces versus Francisco Vallejo Pons having the rating of 2684 and Magnus Carlsen having the rating of 2850. This game was played in 2015. Magnus starts with 1d4, f5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop to f4. We have the London where black played the Dutch. So b6, e3, bishop to b7, and here Magnus went for the move c4. e6, bishop to e2, bishop check, knight to d2, bishop e7, short castle, knight to h5, going for the bishop on f4, knight to e5. So basically white is simply developing the pieces, trying to centralize the pieces, now hitting the knight, so now I have to capture the bishop, pawn takes, short castle, now bishop f3. The reason white played the move bishop f3 because the bishop on b7 is extremely strong piece, so white tries to defend it, tried to simply exchange it. c6 because black do not want to trade off the bishops because black bishop is very healthy bishop, though I think if black could have played knight to c6 and black is fine, but c6 I think it's a bit too passive, you're making your own piece bad. So we simply have d5 by Magnus, and bishop f6, knight to b3, takes, pawn push, and our d6, and white is having too much space in the center because of the pawn on d6, and bishop takes, queen takes, knight to c6, queen check, knight check, and eventually black lost an exchange. And now once black lost an exchange, it's easy for Magnus to convert any game. Takes, simply trade off the pieces, trying to capture the pawns, and eventually after a couple of moves, after moving 36, after playing rook to d5, everything is collapsing for black. So hence Francisco resigned and Magnus won. The thing is that I'm discussing this particular game is, like, I've already discussed 3 games where white can play bishop g5, but I'm giving you other alternatives if any player doesn't want to go for playing bishop g5. Although that is the particular variation that I would recommend you, but all those who likes to play something else, you can definitely go and play this particular opening. And now I'm having some doubts that there are still players, like I'm going to clear the doubts in the 5th game. There are some players who think that, like, there are many players who play the Dutch to play the stone wall. The basic idea in the stone wall is black puts the pawn to f5, puts the pawn to d5, e6, knight f6, and knight to e4. So how to play against that particular opening? Yeah. So we are going to discuss it by looking at the 5th game played between Michal Krasenkow versus Arjun Tiwari, played in 2008. And Michal is having the rating of 2624, Arjun Tiwari is having the rating of 2320. White starts with 1 knight f3, f5, d3, d5, d4. And it looks like white simply took white's black so easily that he simply played 1d3 and 1d4. The reason white played b4 against g5 because after f5 he played d3 because he wanted to play King's Indian attack. He wanted to play g3, bishop g2, and short castle. But once black played d5, he got to know that he's going to play the stone wall. Hence he played the move d4. And the reason I'm discussing this particular game is because once you see carefully, you will able to look that it's the same position as Magnus. He in that position he put the pawn to c4 and the pawn on d5 was originally on d7. Okay, so basically against the stone wall you can play the London, and how to play it I'm going to tell you. After c6 you can play c3, bishop to d6, bishop d3. If black takes, pawn takes, and I think white would have no real issues in this position. If black knight centralizes, you can simply short castle, and after short castle, you can start to play c4. Even not c4, I believe a move like knight to d2 would work. Knight to d7, rook e1, knight f6, knight e5, and you can actually play f3, because black is not having the option to play f6 and remove your knight, but you are having the option to play f3 and remove the knight. So it's a good idea. Okay, so short castle was played, knight to d2, queen to c7, takes, knight to e5, pawn push, f4, knight to c6, and now I'm going to discuss how you are going to continue to play in this position forward. One thing to remember, black have castle, white have not. So black is definitely thinking that white is going to castle, but we are going to play first knight f3, c4. If pawn takes, you can simply take with either of the pawn, it's still fine. You can take with the e pawn, and it's good for white. Okay, so c4 was played, blocking up the queen side, and now comes the rook g1 move. Fantastic move. And once white play rook g1, your opponent is going to know that you are going to simply attack on the king side, and he would be simply shocked, because he can't open up the king side because he's having the king on the king side. Okay, but you are not having the queen. So now g4, knight takes. Like, basically everything is different. So if pawn takes, rook takes. White is simply going all in. So knight into was played, knight into g6, pawn push, knight h5, queen d2, bishop d1, h4, b3. I think b3 wasn't necessary. He could have played bishop f3 long castle, or even a move like king f2, trying to simply play something like this. But okay, he went for the move b3, still fine. But if you want to play extremely safe, you can play bishop f3, king f2, or even long castle after bishop f3, and trying to simply attack on the by playing h5, hg, and take control of the h5. Okay, so b3 was played, b5, takes, rook b1, take control of the b file, also playing on both the sides, on the queen side as well as on the king side. So bishop to f7 was played, rook to g2, queen to c7, queen to c1, rook to b8, rook to b2. Suddenly the game simply changed from the king side to queen side. So knight here, takes. Queen comes, knight comes, takes. So now white is a pawn up. Having a passed pawn is winning for white. So he decides to... He eventually lost a piece because he can't really capture because of... This is completely winning. So he was forced to give up this, and this is winning for white. After a couple of moves, after playing on the 40th move, after playing queen into e6, check, black is a pawn, black is a piece down, everything is collapsing, so it's game over. So basically the thing that I want to convey from this particular game is, you can play the London against that stone wall, and the idea here is you do not castle. You put your knight to e5, you play f4, you do everything, and he now starts to attack on the king side. That's the idea. Like this. Okay, I think b3 wasn't necessary. He could have played safer like bishop f3 long castle, but still fine, yeah. So this was the game. This was the 5 games that we discussed, and I personally liked Garry Kasparov's game. The idea of playing the idea of playing bishop to g5. If you guys also like that idea, like, if you guys tell me in this comment box below which game did you like the most. Okay, so I hope that you guys have liked the video, because in this video I particularly discussed how to crush the Dutch defense from the white pieces. I think bishop g5 is a very good idea to play with the white piece against Dutch. If you also did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone who wants to crush the Dutch defense. And I think this particular opening can also be for Dutch players playing from the black side. You can check it out. What is the best way to play against your bishop to g5. So yeah, so this is my help for you. So I hope that you guys have liked the video. If you did, then make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel, because I'm going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.